Good evening. It's 5:01 p.m. and I'd like to call the June 28th, 2023 regular Board of Education meeting of the Inglewood Unified School District to order. Mrs. Margaret Turner Evans will be joining us remotely. I'd like to ask Board Member Randall to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Mrs. Randall.
Right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mrs. Randall. Next, we'll ask Ms. Zambrano to call the roll.
Board President, Mr. Brandon Myers. Board Vice President, Dr. Carlos McGee.
Present.
Board Member, Ms. Joyce Randall.
Present.
Board Member, Ms. Margaret Turner Evans.
Present.
Board Member, Mr. Ernesto Castillo.
Present.
Dr. James Morris.
Present.
Dr. Marguerite Williams.
Present.
Dr. Bernadette Lucas.
Present.
Dr. Brian Coffey.
Present.
Please be informed that Spanish language interpretation is available during this meeting. Ofrecemos interpretación al español durante la Junta.
Thank you, Ms. Zambrano. Moving on to approval of the agenda. I'd like to approve the agenda at this time with one modification. Item 9D23 from Educational Services has been modified to add a second funding source for the item, which is supplemental and concentration funds. Copies for the public are available in the back of the room. Moving on to reporting out item 5 and 6, reporting out of actions from the closed session. This evening in closed session, the county administrator took action to approve the following settlements: OAH case 2023-050174 and OAH case number 2023-3030-073. I also need to make a correction of the June 21st Board of Education closed session report out. In expulsion case number 2022-2023-05 to modify the expulsion to expulsion with suspended enforcement and reassignment to another Inglewood Unified School District school for the 2023-24 school year. Moving on to item number 7, reports and presentations. California School Dashboard Report under Educational Services. I'm going to call on Dr. Bernadette Lucas to present information on the dashboard for the school district, La Tierra K-8 Academy of Excellence, and City Honors International Preparatory High School. Dr. Lucas.
Okay. Good afternoon, board members, Dr. Morris, cabinet mates. I would like to ask Dr. Danielle, well, she's already on her way up. Dr. Goolsby will, as Dr. Morris shared, thank you so very much, Maricela, guide us through the presentation of the local indicators for the California Dashboard 2022 to 2023. As was the case with the LCAP presentation last week, this presentation is very important as it goes toward transparency and openness to our community about where we stand around these metrics. Dr. Goolsby.
Good evening, board members, county administrator and cabinet and community. So this evening, I'm going to report out on our 3 local indicators for La Tierra, City Honors, and Inglewood Unified. So I'll start with just a little background. So our local indicators are the measurements in which we as a school district rate ourselves on different questions. So there's questions, there's a self-evaluation that's available from CDE that they offer, and we utilize those questions to ask our teams to see where we are landing on these different expectations. So that's what this is. And this helps with our California dashboard. Our California dashboard has 3 different data sources. This is one, the self-assessment. The second one is our CAS data. So that's all of our testing data for students in grades 3 to high school for our ELA and our math, and our science for, oh no, it's just ELA and math. So that's our third through 8th grade and our 11th graders that the CAS data is measured on. And then there's also CalPAS data. So that's the state system that has our student information. And so it lists in that student information system, there is our suspension expulsion data, there's our attendance data. All of that is within that system, and they pull from those three areas to come up with our ratings for the dashboard. So this that I'm sharing with you this evening is our local ratings. So next slide, please. Oh, I have it, sorry. Okay, so for Latihira, so I just explained the second slide where we're talking about our dashboard, the local data, and then also how it impacts our LCAP. We need our, we use our local dashboard, our California dashboard, as one of our metrics to measure growth in our district. Next slide, please. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm tired, sorry guys. All right, so the purpose of this this session is to, again, as Dr. Lucas said, have transparency, share with you the information, and it is one of our requirements that we do publicly share our local indicators. The local indicators include our basic conditions for our schools, our implementation of the California standards, our parent engagement, school climate, and course access. So these are the areas in which we are rating ourselves on. And one of the areas that center around our teachers, that's going to be no longer a local indicator. It's going to be pulled for next school year from the CalPAS data. So for the basic services for Latihira, basic services and for the school climate and access to courses, we met all of those requirements. What do you mean by numbers? Oh, I'm sorry. The numbers, you mean priority 1, that's the number for, in the state there's, I think there's 8, is it 8 priorities? I'm sorry. So there's at least about 8 priorities that statewide that we are held accountable to. These questions reflect priority 1, 2, so it's the number of which the priority was assigned to. It's not like a rating or anything like that. Yeah, it's not a rating. Oops, sorry, how do I go back? All right. Okay, the next slide, it looks at the ratings that the teams or the school community gave themselves for the implementation of core subject matters. So for ELA, for math, science, and social studies. And as you can see, the top rating, the focus or the for that particular rating was on professional learning. The other one was on instructional materials alignment, and then implementation of policies. So this is how the school site rated themselves based on each one of these sub areas. So I'll just give you a second if you have any questions on that.
Dr. Goolsby,
Yes,
for
ma'am.
those in the audience, do you mind sharing the ratings scale?
Not a problem. 1 is exploring and the exploration and research phase. 2 is the beginning development. 3 is initial implementation. 4 is full implementation, and 5 is full implementation with sustainability. All right, next slide. So this is slide focuses on the implementation of standards of progress of additional course areas. So those courses are listed there for you. That's the CTE, health, physical education, visual performing arts, and world languages. And the other section is in regards to professional learning of our teachers and our administrators. And you see the ratings there. And again, it's the same rating scale of 1 to 5 from exploration of the implementation to full implementation and sustainability. So these questions were centered around our parent engagement, and they were given to our parent leadership groups. We have a number of advisory groups in our district, and even at the school sites, from the school site councils to your ELAC and other parent groups. And so for this particular site, this was the ratings for building relationships between school staff and families. And these were the ratings for La Tijera. Again, the scale is 1 to 5, and it's from exploration to full implementation and sustainability. This second question centered around building partnerships for student outcomes, same rating system, and these questions were asked to our parent advisory groups. And the third question for La Tijera, centered around seeking input for decision making, and this is centered around decision making in terms of like their school plans and policies that affect the campuses. I mean that particular campus, and these were the associated ratings with those questions. So that concludes the portion in which the local indicators covers, and that's for La Tijera. Are there any questions?
Can you explain the numbers in the parentheses? Are those the survey tools?
Yeah, no, I fixed that. I'm sorry. When it was, I guess the initial piece that was entered, the parentheses were the ones in the parentheses were the actual rating. I didn't know where the ones came from. Someone else, you have people helping you get these things in, so it was an error.
Okay, because then my second question was the ones, but that's not the numbers.
Yeah, no.
That negates that question. Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
No, thank you. All right.
Well, parent engagement, it's consistently a 2. La Tijera was historically really good with parent engagement because they have a strong PTA. Was there any explanation for the 2s when it comes to parent engagement?
Mainly because the parent engagement that they're talking about is not centered around PTA. It's centered around academic feedback in terms of that type of engagement. So that's your school site councils, that's your English language development committees, your GATE advisory committees. Those all centered around academics. So those are the ones who took this assessment. Now, many of those folks who provided feedback also participate in in the parent PTA, but it's really centered around their academic feedback and involvement with providing that information to the school site.
Okay, I'm sorry, I talk a little slow. School site council, ELAC, all those committees have a parent component.
No, they're all parent. Well, the school site council, yes, there are parent representatives on school site council. The English Language Advisory Council is all parents.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm asking, with such a high number of parents on those committees, the self-assessment came from those groups?
That's how they felt.
Thank you.
Danielle, do you mind if I add, Dr.
Yes.
Goolsby, do you mind if I add to that? And I'm going to ask you to riff off of this a little
Yes,
bit,
please.
because I know how passionately you feel about it. I think also, Ms. Randall, as a system, we need to, I know, we need to put more systems in place around how we communicate with parents around their children's academic performance. And so we have done that, and they'll be rolling out next year, including, but not limited to, Parent Square, how we ensure parents have access to Aries portal so they can see real time how their children are progressing academically. So while the committees are a fabulous way to stay connected and get information out to parents, we also want to make sure that parents, no matter what their schedules are, what their ability is to come on site, they have access to information. Dr. Goolsby, do you want to talk about that?
No,
too?
that is true. And again, and in relationship to the ratings, this goes back to the presentation from last week. Every experience at every school site is not consistent. So you do have some school sites that are much more robust with their parent engagement, and some that you have the middle and then you have the low. And so if we had to rate every school site individually, you would get different ratings from each school site. So I do agree. We are working as a team to provide the supports. We've added a new position to help bolster this in particular. That's that school site program support specialist that will laser in on these type of issues. So hopefully we can get these ratings at these particular individual sites to increase. Any other questions?
I really want to know how effective our parents are having to go online and access this information in order for them to, find out how their student is doing. Do we have any kind of barometer that says this is an effective way of communicating? It seems to be one of the strongest ways that we are communicating now, but is it effective?
So to make sure I understand your question, so I can make sure I'm answering it properly. In regards to the survey, or you mean just in general for anything that we do with our families?
I'm referring to Dr. Lucas's answer is that, we're working on putting systems in place that will better inform parents as well as better have a relationship with them. All of these systems, when you say systems, I'm hearing they got to go online in order to access this information.
Not necessarily. So there's two pieces. So this particular, I'll use this as an example. This particular process is done within a school site council, within a parent advisory meeting. So you do have people and you're working with them, even though it might be on Zoom or maybe in person, you are working with them. In terms of the parent square, the reason why we are there, parent square is being pursued is because of the parents. The parents are asking for it. There were 4 campuses that piloted the program and they want it. They like it. Parents, a lot of our parents are quick with the texting. They like it. They like that interaction. And you do have a segment of our parents who they're not really savvy with the email, but they're savvy with texting. Everybody is not texting nowadays. So that piece they asked for. So it wasn't like it was just, oh, let's just do Parent Square. It was a request.
So is this being measured anecdotally, or are we actually the parents? I know you're going to get parents to say, yeah, I like it, but are they speaking for the masses? I mean,
this came from parent leadership. So within we have a district parent advisory council. We have a district English language advisory council. We have a district level special ed one, and we also have advisory for GATE. So parents give their feedback. All this information is coming from our parent meetings. They are very vocal. I mean, they don't hold any punches in these meetings. And so they are asking for these type of resources on behalf of their individual school sites.
yeah. But I've been to some of the meetings and we might have 5 people there, and that to me does not speak for the masses.
No, at our parent advisory council, we have a representative from each school. We have at least 17, we have 15 schools, and some schools have doubles. So it's 17 that represent, and they are coming from the school site councils in which they're sitting in those meetings, the school site council meetings, working on their school plans, having these academic conversations with their principals. I monitor these meetings and go to the meetings. They're holding their school sites accountable. They're seeing the same things that we're all seeing. Everything that you talk about in these meetings, they talk about in their meetings too, and they want to be a part of the solution. So we are getting the data.
All right, Ms. Randolph, she has a question too.
May I share something, Dr. McGee? Please forgive me. Is that okay, Ms. Randall? So in addition to the usage or the frequency with which parents use different resources, we're also looking at a multi-pronged approach to communication. So there may be 20% of parents who love Parent Square. Please don't quote me on that. It's just an example. But we want to make sure that we're meeting parents where they are. So these are but 2 of several, including parent conferences, including email communication. So we've identified community liaisons. We've identified several different mechanisms to foster parent engagement so that however a parent likes to communicate or a family likes to communicate, they can pick from a menu of ways to get information. So we're okay if 15% of parents like a particular way. because it works for that 15% of parents, and then the other 85 will find the other mechanisms that work for them.
What platform for students to upload work? And I'm asking that, are students on any platform that the parent can be logged into a parent portal and be a part of the student's platform to see students' current work?
So we do have Aries, but the students don't upload their classwork into Aries. There is an Aries gradebook in which teachers can put comments, show their gradebook for the class, like any assignments, that the parent can see if the child hasn't done their homework or have missed an assignment or got whatever grade on a test. So they do have access to that. Some classes still are utilizing, especially COVID brought in so many different resources. So you still have teachers that are utilizing Google Classroom. That's a way for the parents to actually see their actual assignment, that what the child actually did, if they're uploading those actual assignments into Google Classroom, and they can see the grade and the work on that end. So those are the two thus far that I know about the Aries, but in terms of the actual uploading work, so parents can actually see the actual document, it would be Google Classroom.
So where I'm going is a part of registration for each school year. The populations aren't that large. Make sure that the parents are registered, whatever the student is using. And that way, the parent has direct contact and direct access. There are so many opportunities for parents to engage. For these tools to be sitting here consistently across the board is revealing. So the committees may be in place, and there are parent components on the committees in place, but they're responding for the average Joe. And the average parent is not engaged in that process and does not know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But if every parent is required to be a part of that portal and to access your student account, nobody can give a two.
Right.
That's just a suggestion.
Thank you.
I totally agree with my colleagues on the board. I didn't hear the number of parents that participated in this particular survey. Did I hear somebody?
No, I didn't put I don't have unfortunately, I'm sorry, I don't have that statistic. My apologies. I can provide it after.
Because I'm looking at reports that are color-coded, but they don't have school names on it. I'm assuming that this first one is purple, and you're talking La Tijera?
Yeah, the yellow has La Tijera on it at the top. So there's La Tijera is the yellow, the purple is the district, and the green is city honors.
Oh, okay, I had them all wrong. All right. The yellow is La Tijera.
Yeah.
And the purple is the district. Okay.
Did you have any questions, Mr. Castillo?
Not any more additional to that, no.
Marty, did you have anything else you wanted to add to this particular report?
Can you turn on your mic, Dr. McGee?
No, I just wanted to say that I agree with all the methods that we have to get parents involved. And I know everybody should be on Aries, and these surveys should be sent some kind of way through Aries so every parent gets it, not just an email, because everybody doesn't look at email, as you well know. And if it's on Aries, when they get those absentee calls and all that kind of thing, they need that survey on Aries so that it will go to every parent's home. Somehow they'll see it, because they'll look at Aries because it's about their child most of the time. And you probably will get more parents responding, because if you say this is a very important somebody, they'll probably respond to it faster than to just send it out there as an email or whatever. But we need to get as many parents involved as possible. I understand I went to a PTA presentation a couple of weeks ago, and I understand that we have PTAs at most of our schools except the high schools. But even the PTA did not have but maybe 1 or 2 Black parents on it. So we got to get to everybody. We can't just get to one population. we've got to get to everybody in all of the schools. So Aries is the way to go.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we'll go to the next one. We'll do city honors. The green. Okay. All right, city honors. So we're going to follow the same cadence. Same questions were asked on that campus as well. And it's following the same process, so we'll get right to the ratings. Okay. So also for this campus, the priorities 1, 6, and 7 were met. And here are the ratings for the core instruction of language arts, ELD, math, next generation science and history. This was the tool for the CTE, health, PE, visual performing arts, and world languages, as well as the professional development. And here are the parent ratings for question 1, centered around building relationships with staff and families. Question 2, building partnerships with student outcomes. And then finally, question 3, with seeking input and decision-making. That was city honors.
Dr. Goolsby, it's okay if I ask you a question? This kind of went ahead, and it kind of relates to the numbers we're looking at now. But the question that's going to come up, obviously, would be about the parent engagement questions again, because the numbers for Inglewood overall, obviously, are very different than the other two dependent charter schools. Do you have, a reason you believe that's the case, or is it because certain schools, or that seems to be the answer?
Yeah, like I said before, implementation of the strategies at every campus is different. And it was revealed even in the data when we're speaking with our educational partners. It was very clear that school site implementation was one way and district implementation was another way. And so that's one of the challenges that we have, and that's why we're trying to get supports at the school sites so we can bring up those rates. So bringing in these support positions will be very helpful for the sites and provide that additional support that the principals need to get their message out and working with the parents. That's the number one reason why we're putting in these different strategies to support, because the parents that we work with at the district level for our district advisories. I'm telling you, they're very honest and they tell us everything. They say, look, our experience at the district level is different in terms of the parent engagement, because like I said, we have parent advisory committees at the district level, and then at the school site, they'll say our experiences are different. So we want to bring those experiences together and make sure that it's consistent. And we heard it and are following suit to give them the support that they need.
Thank you.
Margaret, did you have a question?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Randall?
Yes. First of all, don't look so scared. You're doing good.
Oh, I'm not scared. I have
Your
a little-
face got real serious.
Oh, no,
You
no,
can
no.
still
I'm not
smile.
scared. I was getting ready to say a joke. You were my,
We're not gonna eat you
you
up.
were my biology teacher in 9th grade. I don't know if you. So I was like,
I
I've been in front of
recognize
you
your name.
before.
The very first time you gave a report, I recognized your name. I'm like, oh, she's all grown up.
Thank you.
On English language development, on all these ones, is there now a plan in place?
Yeah, so the biggest piece on the English language development part is getting everyone to understand on the teacher side, getting them to understand the importance and the mandate behind it to where they can articulate the need. They know that it's important, but can you articulate the need? Can you see if it's actually being implemented? Do you know what that looks like? And so that's what we're finding in the conversations, that they're not able to articulate that. So when all of these are this information is being reported out, or when the teachers are reporting back their feelings about this stuff, they'll be honest. You know, we might need some additional training. We may not feel as comfortable. And then there's a varying level of strengths from our staff in terms of implementation. You have strong, bright spots, they know what to do, and others who need support and training. There's a lot of professional development that's coming out of our division, a lot. And so I'm confident that these numbers will change because of they're changing in the implementation of our, especially at the secondary level, of providing new curriculum for ELD, streamlining on the strategies that are being offered to the students and getting people to have a better understanding of how to teach the students. I felt confident that the training that was offered this year was a great springboard to propel us forward, so.
Yeah, I recognize you immediately.
Thinking,
Some names are very unique. Daniel Goolsby. Nobody else named Daniel Goolsby.
no, there's only one.
Plus,
just
I
me.
keep everybody that I know on the Underground Railroad, so folk don't know who I know.
Oh my goodness. All right, are you ready for the next one? Okay, perfect. All right, that's the purple. The purple. Okay. All right. All right, now the Inglewood, same cadence. These are the, and we're gonna move right to the ratings since you know all the recipes. All right, same with the Inglewood Unified, so that's all the other schools. We met our metric for Party 1, 6, and 7. And then here are the ratings as a district for implementation of our core. The second tool is the implementation of the other standards, as well as our professional development. And then question 1 of our parent engagement, relationship between staff and families. Question 2, partnership with student outcomes. And then finally, question 3, decision making. So those are the district ratings. Are there any questions?
Mr. Castillo, do you have any questions?
It's the same question, but I think you answered it pretty sufficiently before, so no further questions than that.
Thank you. Ms. Evans, do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
All right, thank you. And Ms. Randolph?
You previously answered everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, awesome, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Goolsby, for always educating us and inspiring us. Dr. Goolsby works very, very hard to make sure that we publicly report all the information we're required to report, but also that it really is an engagement process. We appreciate you and thank you for a great report.
Thank you.
Moving on to our second report this evening, I have a brief presentation on FCMAT indicators. I'll just set the context and then I'll go to the podium to present. Because our district is in receivership, we have an annual visit from FCMAT. We just received the draft report from FCMAT that will be finalized in a couple of weeks. The report itself is about 507 pages long. It's a very lengthy report. FCMAT does this annual audit of the district, and it's generally, they begin their visits in January. So they're really looking at a time period for their analysis from spring of 2022 through the beginning of spring 2023. I have a brief presentation on the indicator report. And so I'm going to make this really fast. As the board is well aware, in each of the areas that FCMAT reviews, community relations and governance, personnel management, pupil achievement, financial management, and facilities management. And we've also indicated here the number of standards. And those standards are really the accountabilities that the district must meet in order to exit receivership. And you see in each area, there are a number of specific standards. This slide tells you where we are in relation to those standards. Obviously, the first area, community relations and governance, the district successfully exited a review by FCMAT because the district had met all of the standards in community relations and governance. The next item is personnel management. And I just want to point out that when you look at this chart, you really want to see the purple box to the right of the left box, because that gives the score from last year versus this year. In personnel management, we had a little slippage, I would call it. The score dropped from 6.7 to 6.3. I also want to point out that the vertical line along the number 6 really indicates, because the exiting receivership requires us to have a minimum score of 4 in each area and an overall score of 6 or above. So in personnel management, we had a little bit of slippage, and you'll see significant improvement in pupil achievement from 4.4 to 5.2. Financial management, we had, again, a little slippage, 4.3 to 4. And facilities management, slippage, 5.2 to 5. The next slide goes through each of the categories, and it provides a little bit of detail on how we did in each area. So in the area of financial management, again, there are 43 standards. The number of standards that went up this past year in financial management, 5. There were 12 standards that went down, 26 that remained the same. The FCMAT report, as I said, is a 500+ page report. FCMAT offered 340 recommendations in the area of financial management. Staff obviously is currently combing through that report and making decisions on how to implement those recommendations. Number of standards that are below 4 in financial management is 19. And at the bottom, there's a little chart that shows you, because as I said, our goal really has to be to make sure that we have every standard at 4. Last year, there were 16 standards below 4, and this is that slippage. This year, we went to 19. In the area of facilities management, there are 33 standards. The number of standards that went up, 5. The number of standards down, 9. 17 remained the same. And in facilities management, they offered 202 individual recommendations in the full report. The number of standards that are below 4, 7. Last year, there were 8 standards that were below 4. This year, there are 7. So that is improvement in standards below 4. In personnel management, there are 28 standards. 5 went up, 6 went down, 17 remained the same, 115 recommendations. The number of standards that are below 4 is 2, and last year it was 1. Next area is pupil achievement. In the area of pupil achievement, there are 31 standards. The number of standards that went up, 20. The number of standards that went down, 1. 10 remained the same. We were offered 159 recommendations. And this is, I think, where we all do the Snoopy happy dance. The number of standards that are below 4 is 0. So it is now, as you see on the next slide, the summative ratings, you'll see we're at a close tie. We have a full expectation that both pupil achievement and human resources are going to get out of that review process beginning next year because they are both so close. Number of standards for all operational areas, 155. 35 went up, 28 went down. So you see overall, we reduced the number of standards below 4. 70 remained the same, 816 recommendations. And we went last year 36 standards below 4 to 28 standards below 4 this year. That concludes my presentation. And I'll return to my...
Oh, you can stay there. You can stay there at the mic. Thank you. Do you have any questions, Mr. Castillo?
Just an overall statement, when it comes to our FICMAC numbers, it's a weekly reoccurring theme that we discuss because this is it. This is how we get back to local control end of the day. So obviously disappointed where we slipped, but you know, give credit where credit's due. Pupil achievement, we're here to educate students and we are doing better at doing that. We are getting better at that, so do want to give credit for that, but I believe that we're heading in the right path. I think next year's FICMAT numbers will reflect that, but really hoping we could find a way to turn things around quickly. And I do have belief that you have a plan. We have discussed that plan at length, and moving forward, I know the community is looking forward to hearing more about that plan and hearing more about how we're going to implement that. So we got to be sure to do that when we come back in August and moving forward, so we can show everybody that we know what we're going to go do to fix these numbers. So yeah. Thank you for this quick report, and thank you for always keeping us updated in terms of the FICMAT numbers.
Thank you, Mr. Castillo. Would you like to go next to Ms. Randall?
Yes, this is a good report. The numbers are going down. This is a good report. I will be communicating this week so that I can discuss with you this plan, this overall plan, so I can be doing a happy dance. I think that's all I'm going to say right now.
Thank you. Ms. Evans?
Well, you know, my big thing has always been pupil achievement, and I was very happy to see that Dr. Lucas and her committee, her team, has worked. All of our teachers are really working to bring our standards up, bring that pupil achievement score up, and I was very happy to see that we are above a 4 now. We have 5s and 4s, and I was very happy to see that. So that's why I was clapping. I don't know if anybody could see me clapping at that time, but I was very proud to see that pupil achievement has gone up. We still have work to do if we want to get out of receivership. We know this, but that part really made me proud when I saw this report yesterday. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Well, after 13 years, I'm sorry, I am still waiting on the band to play the song that's going to encourage me to do that happy dance. I am pleased that our scores did go up for pupil achievement, but this rocks my world in another direction for us to keep losing points. We only get an opportunity to be reviewed once a year. So we've got to wait till March. This is a tentative. This is not even real. I don't even know what the real scores are, so no dance for me. it's just kind of disheartening because I have, 3 more years on the board. And honestly, it would be just a joy to be able to exit after 3 terms to see our school, get out of receivership. But at the rate we're going, I don't know. So I'll look forward to your happy dance.
All right.
Moving forward. Thank you so much for this report, Dr. Morris.
You're welcome, Dr. McGee. I just want to point out, this, I think, is kind of the guiding document we have to follow. And when we see 2 areas, pupil achievement and human resources, so close to that area where we can put on this graph successfully exited review. And as I say, each year, our focus has to be on the number of standards that are below 4, because if we can get a 0 up to a 4, because we have several areas where we have zeros, the last thing that I want to, if you look at in the report, it kind of gives the scores over a 10-year period. Yes, they do go up and down, up and down. The thing that I want to say, I'm happy about the significant improvement in pupil achievement. You're right, I'm not happy about the rest. But when we see significant improvement like that, it tells the system that we can go from 4.4 to 5.2 in a year's time, that we can gain over 1 full point in an area. So that's where I see the hope. And it really is, number 1, thoroughly understanding the recommendations in the report and then implementing them. And then the third piece of it is documenting it. Oftentimes when we look at the report, we have done a less than stellar job of documenting the efforts that have taken place. And so those are the areas we have to improve. I truly appreciate your comments and your feedback.
And I want to just make another comment. When you look at the community relations and governance, that's where the board comes in. When we understood the assignment, when we got that 1, and we understood that things needed to be documented, because again, we had done everything that we were supposed to do, but we had not documented it. You don't see anything in between other than we met that goal. And this is a non-paying board. So it disturbs me because the one thing about FCMAT, they absolutely outline what they want. They're not here to tell you you're doing a good job. Their job is to tell us what we're not doing. So for us not to be able to follow what was needed for the last 11 or 12 years, it's disturbing because we can't help you no more. We've done our job, We've gone to our governance class. We've documented our participation in the community. So it's going to really be left up to you and your cabinet to make sure we make good on all of these standards that we are being asked to meet. So that's why I can't do a happy dance, because I've just been here too long, and I'm starting to lose all of the rhythm that I used to have. So hopefully, we'll be able to restore my left foot. Okay?
Thank you. I do want to point out, Dr. McGee, as you said, community relations and governance actually began, when you look at the first rating in 2013, with the lowest score. If you look at the red dots, that was the area with the lowest score. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to public comment. We're now going to go for public comment on agendized and non-agendized items. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address the county administrator and Board of Education on items, agendized and non-agendized items. Public comment card must be completed prior to calling the item, and it must be submitted to the safety officer at the back of the boardroom. Members of the public who wish to speak about an item on the posted agenda must indicate the item number on the public comment card. 3 minutes will be allotted to each speaker. A total of 30 minutes for public comment. Public comment may be reduced depending on the number of speakers. Just want to remind the public that speech or conduct that is disruptive, defamatory, or impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting is not allowed. At the discretion of the presiding officer, anyone who disrupts or impedes the orderly conduct will be required to exit the meeting. Guidelines for public comment are in accordance with Board Bylaw 9323. The Brown Act does not allow the board members or county administrator or cabinet members to respond specifically to public comment. Ms. Zambrano, will you lead us through public comment?
Yes, Dr. Morris. Tonight, we have one public comment for non-agenda items. Mr. Morris Phillips, please come to the podium to address your public comment on non-agenda items. You have 3 minutes. You may begin.
Good evening, everybody. I just came here tonight because I thought someone might come here and criticize the board. And I was going to stand up for you, but they cowered it out, and so I guess I'll go back home. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. And for agenda items, we do not have any public comments for tonight, so that concludes our public comments for tonight.
Thank you very much, Ms. Zambrano. We're now going to move on to approval of action items under the Human Resources Division. I will turn it over to Vice President McGee.
We can move through this as quickly as my board will respond. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. With that, Dr. McGee, items 9A1 through 9A12 are each approved. We'll move on to Business Services Division, items 9B1 through 9B28. Dr. McGee.
Again, is there anyone on the board dais that has a question? Approved.
Thank you very much. Items 9B1 through 9B28 are each approved. We'll move on to 9C, which is Measure GG and Facilities. Dr. McGee, any comments or questions on 9C1 through 9C13?
I defer to the board. Do you have any questions or comments regarding Measure GG? Approved.
Thank you very much, Dr. McGee. Items 9C1 through 9C13 are each approved. Under Educational Services Division, I wanted to take a moment just to point out item 9D21, and we have a very short video because this is really, Generation Connect is something that I'm very excited about. This is a 2-minute and 44-second video that kind of talks about what this program is. And, you know, when we really think about what it takes to inspire students and really teach our students what it means to be members of a community, this is a great example. And so I invite you to indulge me with a 2-minute and 44-second video.
A recent AARP study found that 2 in 5 adults over the age of 50 don't feel like technology is designed with them in mind. I'm Taylor Torregano in Los Angeles with a look at how a program called Generation Connect aims to do just that. At 89 years young, Miss Patricia says technology just doesn't come easy anymore. She started coming to the Inglewood Senior Center to take computer classes, and now she comes just to do her banking or connect with friends on Facebook.
I'm not used to the computer. I'm used to the typewriter.
Which is why when she runs into issues like this, she has no idea how to troubleshoot. Miss Patricia says her family is often too busy to take her calls, but a new organization she recently discovered called Generation Connect is always there to help. It's a free social impact startup connecting teens to seniors and seasoned adults. To offer tech support on demand, all Miss Patricia has to do is click a button and record a brief statement about her problem.
I need help with Facebook. I need help with the computer.
A series of teens are notified and can respond anywhere they are. 17-year-old Danielle Njoku says she's been volunteering for Generation Connect for 5 months now and feels like she learns from the seniors as much as they learn from her.
They teach me patience, understanding, as well as just, when I say learning from the experiences, like I'm still young, I'm still going through life, trying to experience things. Say soon I'm going to be going to college, just like learning about how they were back then when they were in college.
Founder and CEO Candace Walker says this program was birthed during the 2020 shutdown when she saw how many difficulties seniors were having connecting virtually. The pilot started here at the Inglewood Senior Center, connecting the seniors with students at surrounding high schools to walk them through the problems they were having virtually.
The school districts were really interested in creating the growth that occurs around just the socialization skills. And so they embrace this program to benefit their teens.
And you can't give without receiving, she says. It's the whole concept of generativity, the act of receiving personal gain from investing in another generation.
Hi, Miss Patricia. So I'm just going to need you to share your screen with me.
Oh,
For Miss Patricia, it means everything.
I feel so uplifted. I feel so like I'm thought about it, like I'm not forgotten.
Remembered, and now just a little bit more tech savvy too.
Thank you so much. And so this agreement, I just want to point out, is really a partnership between Generation Connect, the City of Inglewood, South Bay Workforce Investment Board. Students at our schools will have two amazing opportunities. Number one, they'll be able to be involved in a class that prepares them for this program, and they'll actually earn pay. They'll be paid for their time through the South Bay Workforce Investment Board, working with seniors. This is just, I think, to me, kind of a heartwarming example of what happens when we use the resources available in our community to benefit students. I'll turn it over to you, Dr. McGee.
Thank you. And thank you for that beautiful presentation. Does anyone on the board have any questions with
No question, but a comment. We have an amazing senior center. I think it's one of the best in probably Southern California. So I'm really excited that our students are able to be a part of that facility and use its resources, because it's really an amazing center. So thankful for this opportunity and this program to allow them to have that. Thank you.
This is an outstanding program. I'm glad to see the city engaged and working together. Good job.
Ms. Evans, did you have any comments?
My comments have been addressed. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I just have one observation. I see Mr. Robert Chavez sitting out there with the South Bay Workforce Center, and I know you probably had a hand in this. He also serves on our Inglewood Educational Foundation. So welcome to the boardroom this evening, and thank you for all that you do to motivate and create opportunities for our students. With that being said, we approve.
Thank you. And I just want to acknowledge Ms. Walker, who is the visionary behind Generation Connect, is also here this evening. So thank you, Ms. Walker. So with that, board members, items 9D1 through 9D43 are approved. We're going to move on to approval of the minutes from the board meeting of June 21st, 2023. Dr. McGee?
Are you ready for board remarks or the board approval?
Okay. With that, thank you, Dr. McGee. The minutes of the June 21st, 2023 Board of Education are approved, and I will turn it over to you, Dr. McGee, for board member remarks.
Okay. This is your opportunity to get out of here by 6:05. So, do you have anything that you want to share that you have not already shared?
Real briefly, just because it's June and it's about to end soon, That rhymed. I didn't mean it to. That rhymed too. But I'd be dismayed if I didn't acknowledge that Inglewood Unified School District has honored Pride Month this month. And I don't think that has been occurring when I was a student here. So really happy we're doing that for our LGBTQ students, staff, and teachers. And I hope that for the students and for those teachers listening, I hope they feel that they're welcome here, they're appreciated, and that they're valued. So I'll just end on that remarks.
Thank you so much. Ms. Evans, did you want to have any comments or remarks before we adjourn? Ms. Evans, did you have any comments or remarks before we adjourn?
Oh, I thought I was unmuted. I just had a question from my public about how we spend our money and are we getting the bang for our buck, and do we get reports from all these consultants and so forth? Well, when I look at the rationale for a lot of these items, it shows, what they're doing, how teachers are using it in their classrooms, and just from our pupil achievement, it shows that some of these things are working in the classroom. So it's a lot of reading that they'll have to do, but if they just go and look at our agendas and look at the rationale for what we're doing and why we're spending the money and how we're spending the money, I think it will be addressed. So I thank you for putting this out here so that we are transparent with what we're doing with the money and that it is making a difference with our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Evans. And Ms. Randall?
I'm going to be calling you later on in the week because I need to know how to frame a report to give to my constituency. They want a report. They believe that the e-newsletters they receive from you are not giving them what they need. I am very proud of the collaboration with the city. I am optimistic about meeting FICMAC. I just don't, to me, you have all the balls in your court. So you have to come up with some magic here to get this done. You have everything at your fingertips. Consultants up the yang. So we should be able to get this done. Thank you.
With that being said, it's 6:05. That concludes the comments from the board, and I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Moore.
And I will try to keep it to less than 1 minute, Dr. McGee. I did want to announce that Mrs. Hernandez and Dr. Goolsbee came over to my office this afternoon, very, very excited about an award that our district had received, and I just want to share it with the board. Inglewood Unified School District was honored by Family Leadership for celebrating the launch of our parenting partners, the incredible work that Dr. Goolsbee and her team and our community liaisons have done to really develop partnerships with parents. When we think about what makes a strong school district, it's parents, teachers, school administrators all coming together. And Dr. Goolsbee and Mrs. Hernandez were beaming with pride because this really recognizes the foundational work that they began this year, really educating parents about how they can work with the school. So just wanted to end by honoring this. And with that, I'm going to meet Vice President Goal and adjourn the meeting at 6:05 p.m. I could have spoken for much longer, but I was watching the clock. Thank you so much. Meeting is adjourned.